Hello to all our LinkedIn followers, and welcome to today's session on best practices to revolutionize customer satisfaction with real-time guidance. I'm David Wasserman from NICE's portfolio marketing team, and today I'll be talking with Abby Monaco, one of our top AI and analytics experts. So welcome to the show, Abby.
Thank you, David. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you. Abby, as you know, we're living in a new environment where most contact center agents are probably still working from remote locations, and obviously many of their customers are also working at home. There's also still seems to be a ways to go on this health crisis, but unfortunately there also seems to be this growing economic crisis putting pressure on really everyone. On this second point, this obviously requires contact center agents to provide really the best service possible. And these interactions that they're in with customers are probably getting more complicated and maybe even somewhat contentious. Can you maybe start off our session today by giving us an overview of what you see as really the key elements to drive customer satisfaction in this environment, leveraging new things like AI and analytics?
Yes, absolutely. So we have been evangelizing this for a while, and what we have come to conclude as a very good way of communicating this to the world at large is that there are really three key elements to really being successful with driving customer satisfaction. Now, of course, we're just to orient everybody, we are talking about analytics, contact center analytics, and the three key pieces of those analytics is first to consider using AI and an analytics program that measures discrete analytics. And so what that means is it's something that's a little easier to define, something obvious that can have a program built around it to define it, to detect it, to count it, and to trend it. And these are usually, centered around the business's goals. So, a product mention, if a new product line comes out, well, you can build discrete analytics around that to understand how is sentiment doing with that product, for example, or what topics are surrounding the product, such as technical issues or things that could actually clue in the business to how to improve the product or improve the support around the product. That's just an example. So moving on from that, which is very powerful in itself, we can get into this second area, and this one is quite fascinating in my opinion. And it's how taking what we are limited at doing. And what I mean by that is when you're trying to build a customer satisfaction program, you are trying to in a lot of ways, instill how to really do a good job at customer satisfaction in the actual agents in the contact center. And the thing that's very difficult about that is that it's very difficult to measure or to put your finger on that, to say to a certain agent, you're not really building rapport, or you could be a little more friendly, or you could listen a little more actively. Well, we've actually found a way to use AI models to actually predict and interpret these behaviors, which helps us because we as humans are it's very difficult for us to say one of these traits, but we do know that those traits affect the customer satisfaction. So that is a second very, very key element. And then a third key element is, I've talked about discrete, I've talked about AI, and I've talked about interpretive and predictive analytics for behaviors. Well, once you gain those insights, what do you do with it? And that's the third key element, is to really consider putting that to use with dashboarding and each role in the company, seeing those insights and building a quality program around it. Coaching and trending that success over time really requires a good analytics-based quality program. So that was a very long answer, but that's kind of where we are right now.
No, that was terrific, Abby. It certainly seems to me, first of all, that the approach you described, really those kind of three key elements, really eliminates a lot of bias in the process. And I think second of all, which is maybe even more important, is it creates a stronger partnership between agents and their supervisors, which we know is extremely critical in the contact center world. What's also great, especially in this complex environment we're living in, is the scalability of the approach. We're not talking about something that's relevant for 20 people or 30 people, but it could be relevant for thousands of people. And really how it can instill the agility necessary in organizations to adapt to these changing realities we're really all living in. But even with all this, is there anything more that you think that can be done to empower agents and drive even higher rates of customer satisfaction?
Absolutely. So it goes back to that second element I was talking about, and to really take AI, use the power of AI and build a framework with that, specifically for customer engagement. That's the key here, is we're not just talking about any old AI. We're talking about AI trained specifically for customer satisfaction and for customer engagement. Now, this really, really helps empower agents, because in real time, they're able to gain their own insight. So this is what we call real-time interaction guidance. And this takes that AI and that behavioral model to the next level. And an agent on the front line, of course, they're trying to do a good job, but there may be a day that's not such a good day, or there may be a day that they've just gotten out of some coaching and they want to put to use some of these new skills. Well, real-time interaction guidance really kind of makes them superhuman. It really empowers them, and it prompts them, and it tells them, hey, you're not really actively listening. Maybe you should ask a question about, how you're doing helping a person on the problem. It's a very really like a support system for agents that is designed specifically for driving that customer engagement, driving that customer satisfaction. And we know that, it really does drive the needle. It really does drive the needle, move the needle on customer satisfaction. If you can help an agent be more empathetic or learn how to build rapport with customers, and they really can improve those skills over time and see that, they can see not only how they're doing in real time, but even in post-call, they can see their trending and see how their behaviors are improving. It tends to be a little addictive for them. We actually know that from experience, that the agents are really embracing this and really not just embracing their own improvement, but embracing the fact that they can see it, the fact that they are now human beings in a visual way, and they can continue to strive at their jobs.
Yeah. Abby, I want to pick up on something you mentioned in your the last few minutes. I did a bit of research prior to the session just to try to get smart on some of the technology I knew you were going to talk about. And generally what I was finding was, I guess some really, I'll call them basic things that people were calling real-time guidance, where they were maybe telling an agent they were speaking too quickly or there was too much crosstalk. But you mentioned something in the last few minutes around building rapport, active listening. These are things that are just well beyond, telling the agent they could slow down in their speech. It's super exciting and super cool. One of the things we like to do on our broadcasts is really bring what we call theory into reality for our viewers. Is there a way for our audience to really get a sense of how these innovations can apply to these organizations that they're all part of? Is there a way you think you could do that for us today on this session?
Yes, actually, I think that seeing is believing. So the best thing we can do is show the audience. So I've brought a demonstration, and this is real. This is a true conversation that happened between an agent and a customer. Now, you may recognize the voice of the customer. That is actually me. And so, we've obfuscated. You're not going to know who the customer is or who the conversation was, but certainly the proof is in the pudding. You can see it in action, and you can see how agents can self-correct and again, as you pointed out, their behavior, not just their speech pattern. They can correct their behavior, and that's pretty amazing. So why don't we go ahead and play the demo?
Okay, let's play the demo now.
Now, the $25 is not for the late fee. The return payment fee you had spoken with the other agent about, I see in the notes here. Now, the return payment fee was followed up on the account around the 20th, but nothing has been applied yet because that fee has not been charged until the next statement. Next statement did go out until the 15th of April. To see the adjustment, it does take to the end of your billing cycle, and the end of your billing cycle is on the 14th, but it's already noted that it's coming up.
Okay, so my bill is paid in full?
Right. Right, yeah.
And my account is still suspended until July, is that correct?
It does still have that hold on it.
Well, why is there a hold on the card when the card is paid off?
Well, anytime the payment's returned, it does put that hold automatically.
Okay.
There's no way to override it. There's a 90-day hold whether the account has a balance or it's paid in full.
Okay, but I want to cancel this credit card because I have never had so many problems as I've had with this card. So do I cancel it now, or do I wait until I get my next bill to make sure it's got a zero balance and then call in to cancel it?
You would want to wait the next statement that shows the zero balance to ensure the credit is applied, because if we close it out before the financial adjustment, we'll not release to the card. So because it does take to the end of the billing cycle, you just want to make sure you get the next statement that shows the zero first, and then you can make the decision to close it.
Okay, so this bill I have now, I don't owe the $25, correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, and when is that going to be clear?
You'll see it when your bill closes on the 15th, is when the statement comes out, and you'll be able to see a zero balance on there.
Okay, so my statement is on the 15th, and I can view it on the computer, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then I'm canceling this card. This is ridiculous. I am being punished and not being able to use this because of your mistake. And yeah, the adjustments were made, but some of your customer service reps need to be retrained on how they talk to people. I mean, the first time I called, that was ridiculous. I kept insisting I wanted to speak to a manager.
Wow, Abby, that was amazing. And you're a super tough customer. It was clearly a difficult interaction, but you could see how the agent was able to adjust his approach to improve really the key attributes around building rapport and active listening, really the things that drive customer satisfaction. For me, and I'm sure our audience, it really brought everything that you spoke to us earlier in today's session really to life. And as you said, it just made theory reality. So now I'm sure our audience and even for myself are thinking, okay, this is super cool. I love this stuff, but how hard is this to actually implement? And what are you seeing as the real results on driving improvement in contact center KPIs with this approach?
Well, I can tell you that there's plenty of good news around all of this. These behavioral models are right out of the box. They are ready to roll. And we've had customers, they'll pick and choose. Sometimes, for example, in a healthcare situation, it's not so important to build rapport. And so, they recognize that. And so, maybe you don't want that model. But the neat thing is that, these models, they are truly modeled around our behavior. They are not specific to a vertical, not specific to an industry, not specific even to a business size. They run on their own. We've done the work for you to where even if you're a smaller business and you're saying, well, gosh, I don't have enough data to train AI, we've done it for you. That's the magic. And what's even cooler is that a lot of our customers will say, well, I like this one, but there's this one KPI that's really important to us that I don't see on your, list of models, your library of models. Could you build us a new one? And the answer is almost always yes. And that's one thing that I think is key here is that we have the expertise in-house. We have the research and development, the people who have been around for so many years that they can understand how to really lead our customers to success. And so, we can see our ROI. I mean, people are so excited. They can see ROI nearly immediately. We take them through a POC process, a proof of concept, and as you said, David, by the time we get to the end of the proof of concept readout, it's okay. let's go. I want this right now. So yes.
Okay. Well, Abby, thank you. It was certainly clear to me, and I'm sure our audience, that real-time agent guidance is a great way to take your customer and agent satisfaction really to new levels. And if any of our audience has interest in speaking live with someone about what we talked about today, be sure to click on the Contact Us link above Abby and I on this post of this broadcast. Abby, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're most welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. And we want to thank our audience for joining us today as well. And just a heads up, we'll be taking a few weeks off. As some of you may know, and if you don't, you'll hear now, we have our virtual live event called Interactions coming on September 15th and 16th. And you're all invited to register at nice.com after this broadcast. There's some great talent around all of our solutions and some special guests, including Matthew McConaughey and Martha Stewart, who are joining us to give us their insights on their world and the world of customer service. We'll be back in a few weeks after that to start to talk about all of our new innovations and best practices that you can implement in your business. So again, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.